The way IDW writes him just makes him a f***ing idiot. You know, I'm surprised that Sega allows IDW to make a complete buffoon of Eggman. Jewel would have actually been involved in the events of Frontiers canonically. Somehow Surge is more careful than Dr. Starline here? He should know this by now. He's reset her many times before about this same thing, I'm very sure. Starline is just incapable of learning or picking up on anything, apparently. IDW is acting like they're just normal people that have to radio in when something's wrong. They're robots! You would assume that's what Eggman already does. How the f***?
Shall we begin? I grant you audience.
What is happening, little boys and dilfs? My name is KotyTang. Welcome to Imposter Syndrome Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1 yet, go watch it. As a quick disclaimer, I have not read past issue 47, so please be careful about posting spoilers in the comments below. Issue 2. Dr. Starline makes yet another video log in preparation for his next plot, thinking back to when he had to exploit backdoors to get into the Eggnet. This new method won't have to use any backdoors, and instead it will just override Eggman's control over that single base. I mean, visually, we can't see a difference in these two override things that he's doing in Bad Guys and Imposter Syndrome, so I guess we'll just have to take his word on the fact that it's a different thing. For this final test, he'll be heading for Egg Base Alpha. Surge, Kit, and Dr. Starline arrive on the field. Starline orders Kit to recreate a map of the base with his water pack. Jeez. What incredible control Kit has over his little water thing to make a whole damn map in the way that Starline wants it. Starline's plan begins with the three entering through the south end. Once they're in, they'll split up, and Starline will go to the western control tower for his new command program, while Surge and Kit will head to the eastern comms tower to prevent the alarms from going off. Kit asks about the north tower, to which Starline explains that it's exclusively for Eggman's gaming. It's his Wi-Fi tower. Eggman? Playing video games? Bro's ping is immaculate. Dog, I could be playing Fortnite and randomly pop a victory royale off of Eggman? What games you think Eggman be playing up in that bitch? Surge is annoyed that Dr. Starline is making her assist Kit instead of giving her something serious to do. I mean, you're in a base. I mean, this sounds pretty serious to me. You're gonna be attacked by something, I would assume. It's cause Starline called it a test again. She's already pissed. Starline is able to pretend that he's reminding her that she chose to continue with the test. The final test begins, and the three are off, heading to their designated areas. However, Surge is still upset that Starline is giving her an escort mission, and she begins attacking the badniks nearby, stating that as long as she destroys them all, no alarms will be raised. Apparently, all of Eggman's robots have no connection to the Eggnet because once they're destroyed, nothing happens apparently. Surge explains that she doesn't believe that Starline should be her boss, as he's just tech support, a guy who makes ideas. And as she says, those are a dime dozen. A dime dozen. Oh, Surge. Surge says she does things her own way. Her own way. Because Ian Flynn just can't help himself with the references. So follow her! What a fucking shitty writer signature this is. This is not something that you should be widely known for, my guy. It makes sense why Ian Flynn is always referenced as a fucking Family Guy writer. Family Guy references random shit just as much as he does. Kid is upset about disobeying the doctor, but Surge is able to pull him back onto her side. Even with that outburst, Surge reluctantly agrees to perform the final test properly anyway. Meanwhile, Starline continues on his journey and oh! What the hell was that gadget? Since when did Starline start using that? While walking down the halls, Starline comes across none other than the Egg Cave. This is a reference to the annual 2020 comic. So Starline says he has time for a small detour and heads into that room. While he's messing around, Surge and Kit arrive at the comms tower. After a quick bicker among the two about how to disable the tower, they're attacked by a super badnik. This allows Kit to retreat and take care of the tower's alarms as he's supposed to, while Surge deals with the super badnik.
Alright, come on then! Keep it coming! What?
Let's go!
As if I'd lose to you!
Go!
Hell? You gotta watch your back!
No.
Oh.
Man.
Hey! Shut
Not good.
Yeah! What?
Very impressive. Do not cower.
After Kit is done messing with the base's alarm system, he returns to Surge and distracts her to the point that she's assumedly killed by the badnik spike ball. But while Surge is probably dead, we jump over to Starline poking around in Eggman's egg cave, reminiscing on old times, and admiring the doctor once again. However, once he sees the Starline toy, he's angered and remembers that he's currently upset with Eggman because he's being a bad boyfriend. So once again, Starline states that Eggman will want to join him in this new empire that he's crafting, and they'll rule the world together. Okay. We head back over to Kit to see him in full baby rage, where he knocks the super badnik away with its own spike ball weapon. He hurries over to the rubble to check on Surge, however, Surge is fine. In fact, she's more than fine. She doesn't have a scratch on her. Is Surge invincible? What the hell is that? Surge, with all the strength that she had before, not missing a beat, demolishes the super badnik, and then proceeds to stomp on its defeated body. Kit informs her that badniks are closing in on them, however, they don't attack. Instead, they begin clapping, and it's revealed that Starline has successfully gained control over the base. Surge and Kit reunite with the Doctor, and Starline is ready to begin the true master plan. However, he sees that Surge's clothes are ripped. Before Starline can pop off too many questions and before Kit starts opening his mouth, Surge grabs his head and starts noogieing his ass, giving all the credit to Kit for his help that she's okay. Look at this nigga's face, bro. Starline dismisses the two for now, and as Surge and Kit are leaving, Surge stops and asks if Kit detects any mics or cameras. Somehow Surge is more careful than Dr. Starline here? Kit wants to tell Starline about what happened to Surge, but she declines. She explains to Kit that she wants to go find out what sort of enhancement Starline has been giving them. Since their memory is constantly getting erased, they seem to not really know what's going on with their own bodies. And there's only one way to get answers: Dr. Starline's video logs. Have you heard of the good word? There's only one word that's important here, and that's the ability to subscribe. Leave a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe, you stupid little piece of shit. Yo, was that a mimic cameo? Hey, lil bro, when you gonna hop into the main comic? Everybody else has upgraded but you. We just met Surge, and she's one of the cover characters of issue 50, my boy. Are you just doomed to forever be a mini-series character? Well, after betraying his team twice now, it's not like he's got much going on anyway. F***ing bum. Why does Starline keep calling everything he's doing a test? I suppose anything could technically be a test. If you want to be a matter-of-fact bitch, every problem Surge is having would be solved if he'd just called them all missions. When he called what she was doing in Central City a mission, she enjoyed it and wanted praise for how well she did. Calling everything a test just makes her pissed because she feels like he's belittling her. It's such a downplay of the actual situation. Starline has Surge and Kit going on an infiltration mission so that he can test if his new hacking algorithm works. The testing part is at most several hours into the actual mission, and at the least, after they spend 30 minutes trying to get past the strongest guards blocking where Starline needs to go, or distracting the base long enough for Starline to succeed in hacking it. Starline is the only one doing a test. They are doing an actual mission. Is there a reason Starline is pretending these are all simple tasks? Like, does Starline love to be a dick to these guys and put himself in situations where he has to reset Surge? Wouldn't resetting her mind so often actually hinder progress? It could even cause permanent damage to her brain, and then it'd have to restart from square one. Starline said he would handle Surge and Kit with more care, so just call them missions from now on, my guy. I just find it so hard to believe how dumb Starline constantly is. Starline's reasoning for everything he's saying might sound logical to some people upon first glance, but realistically, there are so many layers to how stupid everything he's saying is. Starline's whole character is that he's analyzing how all of the heroes do things, how they operate, and how things actually work in this world. So I'm gonna do his job a lot better than he ever could right here, okay? When Surge says, "Screw all the plans, just let me go kill Sonic," that's actually a valid statement. Starline begins outlining how every character would help Sonic in that fight, which is kind of true to a degree. Reality shows that these heroes rarely ever directly work as a team. Sure, they might team up to deal with a couple badniks. Anything, they'd be waiting for their turn to fight Surge. That would give her ample opportunity to kill Sonic if she was able to. They would only hop in when Sonic is basically about to be dead. And by that time, that's when Kit comes around. You're not getting to Surge if you can't even get through him. Surge and Kit have some of the most synergy this entire comic's ever seen. The heroes have just about always made sure it's a fair fight against actual people. All 3 fights against Rough and Tumble were handled this way. Last time we saw somebody get jumped was against Zavok. When it comes to these heroes, uneven teamwork against somebody is just not something that they do. Going against Surge and Kit, that's gonna be a major problem for them. Surge being hindered by Sonic's friends? Yeah, that wouldn't happen. And I'm pretty sure it'd be in Sonic's character to tell them to not interfere with the fight. At best, Sonic has Tails with him to try and distract Kit, but Kit is predispositioned to help Surge unless she says not to, it seems. Tails is definitely not gonna be able to defeat Kit. Kit has things that I've never even seen Tails do, and Kit has actual combat training. Tails doesn't have any of that. So now imagine a fight where Sonic is constantly worrying about Tails while he's simultaneously trying to fight Surge. You know, I'm surprised that Sega allows IDW to make a complete buffoon of Eggman. I mean, I guess it's not too big of a deal that he plays video games, and I can't really imagine it being out of character, depending on the games that he's playing. I mean, before his hobby was that he makes toys of all his enemies and continues playing Hero vs. Mad Scientist with them, but now he's up in his room playing the latest update of Call of Duty Warzone with the boys. It's a layer of characterization that you wouldn't actually get by just playing the games. When you really look back on it, there's been a lot of fleshing out the things that Eggman not only does, but even the stuff he's into in the IDW series. Even Sonic and Tails are allowed to chill at one of Tails' workshop and bust out some video games. Just how far do these unique interpretations, hobbies, and ideas go for all of these characters? To what limits can the IDW team stretch, pull, and warp these characters before Sega is finally like, shut it down, guys? IDW wouldn't really be officially acknowledged as canon until about 2023. Imposter Syndrome is a 2021 comic. So I suppose the thing going on here is that it wasn't really canon yet, so they were still able to make certain interpretations. Which obviously is going to cause problems in the future for the fact that this is now canon. Everything we've read so far has canonically happened in the story. So, canonically, Eggman plays video games. Canonically, Eggman plays with toys. Canonically, there is an Eggnet, and canonically, all of these characters live in this one region. And canonically, Jewel was the leader of the Restoration by the time Frontiers comes around. Unless something happens and the Restoration f***ing explodes by the time Frontiers happens. Jewel would have actually been involved in the events of Frontiers canonically. It would be in Jewel's character to just send off Sonic, Tails, and Amy to Starfall Island, so that adds up. I do have to wonder when IDW is going to jump over the game canon and continue the story from there.
I bet Tangle would love climbing around these ruins.
Either way, some of these interpretations aren't canonical and it's weird to see. There's a moment when Kit tries to put all responsibility onto Surge, stating that she's the hero so she should have the important jobs. It's like he's wanting to bring her up, but he's also kind of being lazy? I can see why Surge scolds him afterward. Also, how many times have these two been subjected to hypnosis? I mean, the excuse of, oh, you overloaded your enhancements and upgrades can only be used so often until it starts to seem like something entirely different is going on. It's obvious that Surge is kind of breaking out of this, and if Kit is supposed to be the Tails, shouldn't he be a little smarter than that? Sure, Starline programmed the hypnosis to work on him as well, but use that brain, my guy. Shouldn't you be smarter? Lucky for Surge, a revelation happened to her on the battlefield, rather than her crashing out mere feet in front of Starline. So she kind of had time to process it while laying under all that rubble, but had it gone any differently, I imagine that Starline would have had to reset her. And honestly, if I were Starline, I'd reset her anyway just to be sure. Both Kit and Surge were entirely out of his sight for an extended period of time, and then Surge comes back with her clothes ruined. And she was hurt. She even directly says that she was not okay. I can even imagine that some of her blood would have been on her clothes if IDW was able to show blood at all. Once again, the cautious doctor is just not cautious at all, taking somebody mischievous like Surge at her word when it's so evident that she's hiding something. And like I said earlier, calling everything a test is just gonna piss Surge off more and more. Surge is always ready to rock, so you gotta treat her like everything is a proving ground. That's what her character seems to want to do, so Starline has to let her rock and at the least pretend to be evaluating her ability to do missions. So of course she's gonna lash out at Starline again. He should know this by now. He's reset her many times before about this same thing, I'm very sure. Starline is just incapable of learning or picking up on anything apparently. If Starline would treat her like a competent person, I don't think he'd ever even have a problem with her attitude. She'd just be happy to be making progress and awaiting the day that Sonic finally arrives. But of course, Starline has to ruin everything by being, well, Starline. I want to like Starline as a character, but the way IDW writes him just makes him a f***ing idiot. He's a villain, so of course he's supposed to be a bad guy, but at the same time, he's so ridiculously stupid, but he's constantly toted around as this highly intelligent, overly cautious person, when it's so evident that he's not. I can never tell if it's IDW's intention to make him such a f***ing idiot. And Starline's not the only idiot villain of this comic. Again, I have to question how the hell Eggman's Eggnet works. Every single base is connected to the Eggnet, even the ones that are abandoned. Yet, none of the badniks are directly connected to the server in any sort of way. There's no indicator that a squad went down. There's not even a notification that a badnik just died or malfunctioned randomly. A badnik just blows up and then they're just a blip on some sort of server that's removed without any sort of heads up. At the least, no other badniks in the vicinity are notified that one of their teammates is down. IDW is acting like they're just normal people that have to radio in when something's wrong. They're robots! They're connected to a server! If they die, everything should be notified! You could imagine even that Eggman would have a robot or two constantly monitoring the badniks, and the badnik would be able to immediately inform him or the entire Eggnet that something is wrong. They could even be like, oh look, a robot died in Egg Base Alpha. Well, let me check the cameras real quick. Oh, yep, there's people attacking the base. I think I'm gonna go ahead and trigger the alarm. Oh, looks like they cut the alarm. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and notify the entire Eggnet that Egg Base Alpha is under attack. Yep, done. Does that not seem obvious? That you would assume that's what Eggman already does. But apparently he doesn't. Why the hell would Eggman need a tower with an alarm that only goes off when somebody trips it? Every single badnik should also have some sort of final recording protocol that would allow Eggman to see the last thing that the badnik ever saw. How the fuck is Eggman running an empire so successfully? There are over 1,000 ways to get past every single thing Eggman does, and he has exactly 0 fail-safes and extra precautions. Can we write one single competent character in this comic that isn't a hero? There's this moment where Surge pokes Kit's belly and he gets all warm and fuzzy inside. I don't know, pretty wholesome if you ask me. I too would love Surge to touch me. We're reintroduced to the Egg Cave, and it's nice that IDW is trying to include all these different stories to read, but we're in a mini-series that is crucial to understanding the main series, and this mini-series is referencing another mini-series here. We're getting close to reaching Inception levels of mini-series here. Next, you're gonna tell me to read the latest issue of the Mimic mini-series, which will show Mimic watching Dr. Starline go through this mini-series. So that mini-series will have to reference the mini-series we're on right now, and then this mini-series is referencing the annual, and even the annual comic references the annual comic that came before that annual comic, while also showing off major events that happen off-screen in the main series, which means that the annual comic actually is a mini-series in itself, which would mean that we've got layers of mini-series everywhere. When we get to the final saga review, I'll be going over how wonky this writing is starting to get. Unfortunately, I believe we only have one more mini-series to go, so, is it safe to say that the rest of the content is gonna stay in the main continuity and not trail off constantly? Back to this mini-series though. Does anybody else find it hilarious that Surge has more caution than even Dr. Starline does? Surge is wild and out of control, but she still takes the time to be discreet and not get noticed. Even in issue 1, she was fully aware that nobody would see her if she ran fast enough through Central City. She seems to have a level of awareness that Dr. Starline completely lacks. So now in issue 2, she's sneaking around Starline's brand new base, withholding information from him, and making sure that no cameras or microphones are tracking anything that she's doing. She completely deduces that Dr. Starline has not only been enhancing them, but also withholding some very vital information. She adds that in with the fact that Dr. Starline is recording himself. How the hell is Surge more mentally capable than Dr. Starline? Although I do have to wonder, how and why would Starline have any video recordings at this Eggman base? He just obtained this place. How the hell would any of his files be in the system? That's gotta take, at the very least, a whole day. Can somebody give me a detailed overview of how Starline taking over these bases works? Are we seriously about to act like Starline just magically has every single file already translated over ready for his casual viewing? I understand that he has a cloud, but how the hell does this make any sort of sense? Wouldn't he have to do more than just take over the base? Again, is there some sort of Eggnet alternative called the Starnet? And when Starline put in his override code, did it literally just somehow magically transfer over every ounce of data he has across the bases? Eggman still has his own coding inside of the base. I struggle to follow Eggman's Eggnet here. So now you're telling me that Starline just has some sort of mystical internet provider too? Would Eggman not be notified that an entire base is offline and he cannot connect to it at all? I'd assume that's what the Starnet is doing, right? It's just literally deleting Eggman's Eggnet, and then the entire thing is just brought over from the cloud, somehow taking control of everything in the base. You know what? Maybe in the next issue we'll see that Surge, Kit, and Starline, for whatever reason, decided to go all the way back to Egg Base Sigma. I guess we'll just have to find out in the next issue how this is all gonna play out. Like, comment, join the Eggman Empire Discord, subscribe to the channel, okay, bye!